Welcome back. I'm Dominique, your cybersecurity homegirl. And if you're new here, this channel is where we talk about AI, security, and governance in a way that actually makes sense for me and you, your mother, and your cousin too. Okay, let's get into it. Today, we're talking about something I've been really interested in for the past couple of months, and it's the concept of responsible AI. And so, whether you're trying to implement AI at your organization or you're an everyday user like me who wants to be part of these innovative AI tools, but want to do so ethically and not feel like I'm harming the environment or participating in harming people, I've got you covered. So today I want to do three things. First, I want to break down what responsible AI actually means because I'm a language girly and I'm all about giving you the language you need in order to go forth in the world and be great. Then I want to talk about why it matters. Lastly, I want to give you some tangible takeaways on how you can begin integrating responsible AI principles in your own professional and personal life. So let's get into it. Now, you know what's coming. I told you in the last video, I'm a dictionary girly, so it's dictionary time. Let's begin by defining what does responsible AI actually mean? So responsible AI, or RAI, which is a common acronym you should familiarize yourself with, is the set of practices and governance mechanisms designed to make sure that AI systems are safe, fair, and actually doing what they're supposed to do. So when a company, for example, Sephora, I like makeup and skincare, builds or uses an AI in their systems, there are three layers of responsibilities they have to think about. The first layer talks about what the AI should actually do. And so, keeping with our example of Sephora, their AI developers should be thinking about things like, is the output of our AI given accurate information? Is our AI being fair to our customers? Are our customers' privacy being protected when they use our AI? Are we being transparent enough about how we're implementing AI and how it works? The answers to these questions help create a solid, responsible AI foundation. Because if the AI is producing wrong information, for example, discriminating against a certain group or hiding how it makes decisions, then that means that AI is failing and it needs to be fixed. The second layer is all about understanding how risks are managed. Now, risk is defined as the possibility of something bad happening. And with AI, there's a lot of stuff happening, right? Like there's a lot of uncertainty around the impacts it is having on our world. And ideally, we should have the answer to, or at least be in a position to be ready to discuss questions such as, is this AI system secure? Is it safe for people to use? What happens when someone tries to manipulate it or break it? We have bad actors in the world. We know that. And so this is where security professionals live. My people, we are the ones who think about threats. We think about what happens when things go wrong, and we build the controls to catch or prevent them. Our last layer, the third layer, is about accountability and governance. And I'll be honest, this is where organizations are getting hung up and being thrown for a loop. Questions in this layer that you should be thinking about include, who owns the AI system? Who's responsible when something goes wrong? And what's the process for fixing harm when it happens? These are all governance related questions. And like I said, the research has shown organizations are pointing the finger at everyone else except themselves. My research on this topic comes from the Stanford University AI Index report, whose mission is to provide unbiased, rigorously vetted, and globally sourced data for policymakers, researchers like myself, journalists, executives, and the general public to develop a deeper understanding of the complex field of artificial intelligence. If you're interested in reading it yourself, I'll be make sure to link it in the description notes. What's pretty obvious from the report that I read is that while the infrastructure, meaning all of these dang data centers that are being bought out or being created to help increase the pace of AI, the guardrails, meaning the controls, these questions to make sure that AI isn't causing harm or being unfair, or being checked for bias, that's not keeping pace with how fast AI is being implemented in actual organizations. And it really feels like we're trying to build the car while the car is already on the highway. Like we're driving in all types of directions. We're like spinning and turning and trying to correct. And honestly, it's still chaos. We are in the wild, wild west period of implementing AI in this world. Okay, let's talk about impact because responsible AI isn't just an ethics conversation. It has real consequences for real people. And if you work in security or GRC, or you're thinking about working in security or compliance, some of this is going to be yours to manage whether you sign up for it or not. And so it's pretty important for you to at least start thinking about this and figure out how will you start to answer it for yourself. And so the first is AI incidents are rising fast. The AI Incident Database Organization, which is dedicated to indexing the collective history of harms or near harms realized in the world by AI, recorded 362 incidents in 2025. The year before that, 233. So it's safe to say these aren't theoretical harms. We're talking about deep fake impersonation scams that convince people they were in real relationships. We're talking about AI chatbots generating hate speech after safety filters were loosened. We're talking about fake websites cloned using AI in minutes that stole payment information from real shoppers after a major retailer went bankrupt. And I don't know about you, but you can get got very easily right now. And cybersecurity is one of the top three categories of AI risk, right alongside inaccuracy and regulatory compliance. You want to know one of the most interesting things I learned from this report? It's that AI models struggle to know the difference between knowledge and belief. And so, in case you didn't know, AIs can hallucinate, meaning that your ChatGPT, your Claude, your Gemini can give you a super confident yet entirely fabricated or fake answer. As a matter of fact, I was just using it earlier this morning and it said, "Hey, today is April 23rd." I said, "No, girl, it's April 22nd. Get it together," right? Like from a time perspective, if you're getting time wrong, imagine how many other things, very important things that people are relying on generative AI or these kinds of AI chatbots to do. And the AI will think nothing of that wrong answer. And a great example I'll give you is, for example, I'm making a cake and need a recipe. ChatGPT will give me the entire wrong ingredients and portions, and I wind up having more soup than cake. I can't eat that. I don't want soup. I want a cake. And so I have to scrap the cake. Now imagine if AI was in charge of deciding whether or not someone is guilty, whether or not someone has a cancer diagnosis. And I know I just gave you very extreme cases, but the reality is that medical and law enforcement fields are implementing AI in their processes, and that these make very real decisions. According to the research I did, all of the top AI models hallucinate. So you can't escape it. But here's what is more interesting. When a fake statement is presented as something someone else believes, the AI models handle it pretty well, meaning they understand it's fake news, and they ignore it. But when that same fake statement is presented as something you believe, the AIs crumble. So let me put it another way. Say you hang out with your cousin and both of you were told fake information because you're watching TV. Now, when your cousin goes and tells your mom that lie, your mom ignores it. She know your cousin a liar. Why is she listening to him? But when you go and tell your mom that same lie, your mom not only goes crazy and believes it, she now uses that knowledge and information in how she raises and talks to you. Isn't that crazy? So, what does that mean for you? It means that humans are still very necessary in this AI revolution we are going through. AI cannot replace human judgment, care, and context you have. Your best asset is still your brain. I'm still advocating for picking up a book. Having humans partner with AI instead of having AI take over human thinking will help protect us and stay in control. And for my security and compliance professionals out there, we have always understood that controls exist because systems fail, right? Like it's inevitable. Technology will fail. And so AI is no different. Next, let's get into transparency because, baby, they're not telling us the real. The Foundational Model Transparency Index, which tracks how willingly AI companies share the benefits and the challenges about the systems they build, dropped from a score of 58 in 2024 to 40 in 2025. What this means is after 1 year of improving, if I'm not mistaken, it was created in 2023. So after 1 year of improving, companies went backwards and was like, oh, hell no, I can't keep disclosing this information right now. And so major gaps exist in what companies disclose about their training data, the computing resources used, and what happens to the model after it's deployed. Now, for my governance professionals, my GRC people out there, I know this is a red flag going off because you cannot audit what you cannot see. And so when audit time comes around and they're asking deeper questions about, hey, what is your AI connected to? How do you reason with this or that? You're going to have to answer those questions. And then there's agentic AI, which adds a whole new layer of complexity. If you're not familiar, agentic AI refers to AI systems that don't just respond to prompts. So think of like your ChatGPTs or your Geminis. They take action. For example, agentic AI can browse the web, it can send emails on your behalf, it can execute tasks on your behalf. You can just set it up on your laptop and make it do your work for you. Now, regular AI was hard enough. The top challenges companies are facing when it comes to AI is the fact that a lot of people still aren't up to speed on the latest in the subject. There's not enough money going around. Of course, there's always budget constraints. And the regulations and frameworks that us as professionals normally rely on, they don't exist yet. Like I said, it's a Wild Wild West out here. Agentic AI adds additional challenges such as security risks, technical limitations, and the additional reality that existing frameworks, again, were not built for these agents. One more thing before we get into the playbook. Information security currently owns responsible AI at 21% of organizations. I'd bet a good amount of money, and I don't like betting because gambling is getting out of hand in this country, that number is going to rise. What this means, if you are building a career in security or compliance, this is coming for your role. This responsibility will land on your doorstep. So prepare yourself by getting ahead of it. And if you're a student, then this is a topic you definitely should be self studying so you will be prepared come interview time. Okay, before we get into how to build your own playbook, let's do a quick recap of what we covered so far. So go grab your tea, grab a snack, and come on back. Thanks for coming back. Now it's playbook time. Here's what I want to talk directly to my practitioners, the leaders, my students in the room. The three biggest obstacles to implementing responsible AI right now, according to the data, are knowledge gaps, budget constraints, and regulatory uncertainty. Now, if you have been in GRC or security for some time, like myself, I've been now going on 14, 15 years now, you just recognize all three of those challenges, right? I personally have had to navigate every single one of them before as a leader or as an individual contributor in the corporate space. These aren't new. Every time I think about a new revolution to technology, while I at least have been in the corporate space, a great example would be the rise in cloud computing, changes now with AI. Those three are always present, right? We always have to upskill. I have a CISSP. I am required to give in CPEs every year to maintain that I'm still learning and applying my skills, right? As a leader in the industry, I've had budget constraints. I can't hire everyone that I want to. I can't give everyone the money that they deserve. I don't have enough money for the latest in tools or figuring out how to implement something, so I've had to get creative. And then when it comes to regulatory uncertainty, over the time and course of my career, I can't count how many new regulations have been created. And each and every time I've had to learn what those requirements are, upskill my team, and figure out how we're going to address them in our program. And so these three challenges aren't new, but they're a great opportunity for those who are in the field for how you can get ahead of them. So here's how you apply what you already know or something you can learn to implement right away. Now, when it comes to the challenge of knowledge gap, like I said, as security professionals, especially if you already have a certification, you should already be self developing, meaning you should be reading articles, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube channels such as this, right? Going to conferences. Those should already be part of your career development plan because that is what keeps you current, that what keeps you up to date, and it will keep you ahead of a whole bunch of people who don't want to do all that work. So when it comes to AI, you should be doing the same, learning the fundamentals of AI, the acronyms that you should be familiar with, the challenges, the benefits of it, so that way you can speak the language to your leadership when you need to figure out and they come to your doorstep to say, hey, how are you all using AI? And you can clearly articulate that to them. AI needs to be part of every career development conversation happening in your organization. Not someday soon in the future, today. There are tons of free resources that exist. Again, this YouTube channel as an example. There's open courseware, there's frameworks out there like NIST that are publicly available that you can read. And if you have some budget, there's paid resources out there or training. The biggest shift I want you to take away from this one is stop treating learning AI as optional. That upskilling is a baseline competency now. And so, if you're a leader, this belongs in your one to ones with your team, it belongs in your performance conversations, and you need to normalize it now so that way you can take your current team members with you as the world changes. And if you're early in a career, you're actually ahead of tons of people just by watching this video. Use that for your advantage. Now, when it comes to the challenge of budget constraints, right? Because security normally doesn't get a lot of money. We're always last or we're always the first to get cut. Risk is going to be the language that your leadership speaks and hears. You are not going to get resources by asking for a responsible AI program. Your leadership team will look at you like a deer in headlights, like, what do you want me to do with that? They have no idea what that means. You will get attention and eventually resources by showing leadership what's at stake in terms they already care about. Start building your use case. This means incidents are already being documented. I already just gave you some from before. The data is public, and AI assisted fraud is real and growing. As a matter of fact, I was watching CNBC and Squawk on the Street or whatever it's called. They have shown or they have highlighted that cybersecurity risk tied to AI is documented and on the rise. That means it is affecting the stock market and that means it is affecting money. That is what board members care about. That's what senior leadership, executive leadership cares about. That means that is what you should be caring about. Your job is to take that information, translate it into the context of your specific organization's environment, and then make the cost of that inaction visible for them. Make responsible AI as a standing topic in your risk conversation with leadership. Weekly, if you can get it on the calendar. Budget follows urgency and priorities. You create those priorities through consistent, clear communication about risk. Lastly, on regulatory uncertainty, Your key takeaway here is that staying current is already your job as a cybersecurity professional. And if you didn't know that, now you know. I'm sorry to tell you. Like the work never ends. I wish it did. It don't. GDPR is still the leading regulatory influence on responsible AI, but there are others that are becoming more mainstream. For example, ISO 42001 and the NIST AI Risk Management Framework are two that are being cited more in job requirements and point you into the direction of which you should be learning. Changes in cybersecurity is normal. It's AI now, it's agentic now, it's going to be something else in a couple years. It happened when cloud security became mainstream, and it's happening again. Regulations are always a moving target. Your job is not to wait for certainty. It is always to track the trends, understand the direction, ask the right questions, and build a flexible plan. Not a perfect one, you just need a draft. Responsible AI is not a future problem waiting to be solved in a boardroom somewhere before it trickles down to you. It is already shaping the incidents that are happening, the risks companies everywhere are carrying, and the career landscape that you're trying to navigate right now. You don't need a finished playbook to start. You need direction. That's where your cybersecurity homegirl comes in. First, know what responsible AI is. Understand the three layers. Watch out for the incidents and map them. Start putting them in your playbook. Start creating playbooks. Start putting it in your threat modeling. Develop your people. Talk about risk with leadership consistently and stay close to where the regulations are heading. That's the start of your program. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe because we go deeper on AI security and governance on this channel. Drop a comment and tell me, do you know where your organization lands on the three layers we talked about today? And if you're new all to this, you're in school, you're like, girl, I don't know anything that you just said. What's something that excites you or that you want to learn more about? And if you're building your career in this space, again, I'll put some resources in the description about all of the research that I did so you can take a look for yourself because a lot of the data that I talk about just comes from the reports that I read every day. I'll see you next week.